Can't pay rent for September. These are the most uncertain times we've had yet. We're going to give you an update, tell you where tenants can find money, and give you an idea what to do if you can't pay rent. Hey there, Christian Walsh, Coldwell Banker Wire Associates. We specialize in helping tenants and landlords, buyers and sellers in California, and we're here with another update during these uncertain times, and we're going to tell you why these are the most uncertain of any of the months we've had yet. I've been doing these since the beginning, these updates every month about not being able to pay rent, and I'll keep doing them till we don't need them anymore. But these are tough times and tough months ahead. Tune in and we're going to fill you in on what's going on. So there is some good news. Since the last video, we're off the watch list as of last Sunday. That's the good news. The unfortunate news is when we look at unemployment statewide. Things have not gotten any better. So the $600 a week bonus that was put into place by the CARES Act is gone. Trump signed an executive order to give each state a boost. It was supposed to be $400. That was $300 from the federal government and $100 from each state. Unfortunately, states couldn't afford the $100 like California. So they've been given clearance to move ahead. It's called the Lost Wages Supplemental Payment Assistance Program through FEMA. And the state of California did receive funds in order to give an additional $300 a week bonus to those on unemployment. They have enough funds for about 3 weeks. The unemployment claims have continued to climb. Last month, there were 4.4 million in California on unemployment insurance. And just last week, there were 4.9. So a 500,000 increase in unemployment claims. Unemployment paid out last week $724 million per day. This is 1,000%, 10 times more than what was paid out per day during the Great Recession in 2010. So still a lot of folks hurting for income, and this is definitely affecting rent payments as well. So here's why I said these are uncertain times. So now let's talk about evictions, a topic very important to tenants and landlords right now. So the Judicial Council on April 6th had put in an emergency rule that prevented any new evictions from moving forward. That was commercial, residential. For any reason at all other than health and safety, evictions could not move forward. It was supposed to be in place for 90 days after the emergency order was declared over. We're still not even close to the emergency being declared over. But the Judicial Council voted and has said that that rule for the eviction moratorium is going to sunset on September 1st. What that will mean is evictions can move forward on September 2nd, and that is all evictions, residential, commercial, COVID-19 or otherwise. So all evictions can move forward on September 2nd. Now, Governor Newsom put into place an executive order, N7120, that allowed local municipalities to extend the eviction moratorium only for evictions related to non-payment of rent due to COVID-19. They are able to extend those to September 30th, and there are many municipalities that have done that across California, and I have a link below if you want to search and see if yours did that. So there's no federal eviction moratorium. The state eviction moratorium looks like it's about to come to an end. There are some bills working their way through California legislature. They have a deadline of August 31st, so they're moving quickly here to get these taken care of. And there's a few different ones that may protect tenants, may prevent tenants from being evicted due to non-payment of rent due to COVID-19. So AB 1436, which we've discussed, tenants would not be able to be evicted until after April 21st. There's SB 1410. That's one that would be voluntary between a tenant and a landlord. The tenant would pay back the state, and then the landlord would get a deduction on income taxes so that they could recover some of those funds, but they wouldn't be able to do that until 2024. So that's not really going to help anybody right now. There is another compromise bill that's working its way through, literally changing by the hour until we hit this August 31st deadline, called the COVID-19 Tenant Relief Act of 2020. And we'll get you more details on that, but it's changing so quickly. We'll see if that one passes. But literally, this is adding to the uncertainty. People, whether you're a tenant or landlord, you have no idea if you're going to be able to stay put or be evicted. So this uncertainty is unlike any we've had so far. Every month previous, you knew as a tenant you could stay put. And landlords, you knew you couldn't get them out, but we're coming into a new era here, it looks like. So we will see how this plays out. All right, so the part where we tell you where you can find funds as a tenant to help pay your rent, and unfortunately there's just not that much left right now. We hate to report. So we had talked about the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program. If you were a gig worker, self-employed, etc., you could apply for those funds through the SBA. That program is closed, so you missed your chance on that. Those funds you could have used to pay rent, but that's gone. The SBA still has the EIDL. I have a link below. You can still apply for that. That's for business owners, tenants, and landlords can actually apply for that one. So make sure if you haven't applied for the EIDL that you make sure. Some local municipalities are offering funds. I know the city of Irvine, for example, had $1,000 that would go straight to the landlord. Look for those funds, but most of those are gone. And then the federal stimulus payments, there is a chance we'll get another $1,200 one or some variation of that, but it's not going to happen until end of September at the earliest. And some folks I've heard say that there may not be another stimulus payment, and if there is, it would be after the election or maybe into the next year. So I hate to say it, places for additional funds have pretty much dried up, but don't give up, tenants, don't give up. There's still opportunities out there. So if rent's not coming in for September, we have some things you can do. And our heart goes out to the tenants because you've lost income and can't pay. And our heart goes out to the landlords because not getting your rent means you're losing income. So we're very sorry to hear this on both sides. Tenants, it's important that you remember that as of right now, you still owe the back rent. There's nothing that has forgiven you from paying this rent. There may be bills in the future, but as of right now, you still owe it. So let's come up with a mutually beneficial plan so that you can repay the landlord and get back on financial footing. So here are the options for a tenant and landlord. Number one, and one we do not expect, is a waiver of rent. So there's nothing out there right now that's going to waive your rent, tenant. It would be entirely up to the landlord to waive some or all of their rent, and we can't expect this. Early on there were folks doing it, but we've been going on for a long time right now, so everybody needs those funds coming in. Okay, so number two would be a partial delay of rent. So with this, the tenant, you're going to pay some of the rent for the month, and then the landlord is going to defer the other portion. The other one is a full rent delay. So that's number three. So in this case, the tenant can't bring anything to the table, and the landlord is going to have to defer the rent going forward and come up with a repayment plan for all of the rent for September. Don't forget, number four, that a landlord can use some of the deposit or all of the deposit if they feel comfortable to cover the rent that isn't being paid. And then there's nothing that states that a landlord can't ask for the money to cover the deposit in the future. So the landlord can ask the tenant to replenish the deposit going forward. All right, more advice for tenants and landlords. Tenants, if you're not gonna be able to pay the rent for September, reach out to the landlord now. Pick up the phone, make a phone call, send an email, but please let them know the rent's not gonna be there. Also, be prepared to show documentation that you've lost income due to COVID-19 or lost your job. Let them know that that's the case. Have something in writing from an employer, be able to show that you're being impacted by COVID-19. Important point for both landlords and tenant. Any repayment plan, and we have a form you can use, the Coronavirus Rent Payment Delay and Repayment Program Agreement, which is a real catchy name, I know. Link down below. But you must document the repayment plan. So you're going to go ahead and use that form. You're going to show what months were missed. You're going to show how much rent was missed, how much rent is owed. You're going to come up with a repayment plan, and then you're going to show if any deposit was used. So you're going to document everything. This needs to be signed by the tenant. It needs to be signed by the landlord, and both parties need a fully executed copy. Last piece of advice, and this one's for landlords. I know you need your money, but come up with a mutually beneficial payment program. It's unrealistic to expect a tenant to all of a sudden be able to cough up 2 to 3 months worth of rent in October or November. So come up with a plan so they can actually get you your money back. And then the last piece of advice, let's try not to judge and let's be compassionate. These are still tough times for a lot of people. And like I said before, just as a tenant, you've lost income. When you don't pay your rent, that's lost income for a landlord. So let's try to leave the judgments aside. Let's be compassionate. Let's get through this so that someday everybody's paid back and we're all doing better than we are right now. All right?
If you found this helpful, please hit the like button.
Thank you, Gigi. Gigi is my youngest, and we are very happy that you tuned in to watch us. Like she said, if this was helpful, please hit the like button. Leave a comment below letting us know how it helped you out. Please keep subscribed to our channel and make sure down below you sign up for our email newsletter. This is Christian Walsh, Coldwell Banker, Wire Associates, and what's your name?
Gigi.
Gigi Walsh. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. So this is my youngest daughter, Gigi. We thank you for tuning in. If you like what you heard, do you have the hiccups? Here, let's do it without the hiccups.